All right, what's up, y'all? All right, so welcome to High Talk Radio for another podcast. So today we have Harold Brown. Harold Brown has a podcast and he speaks about depression. Anybody who has followed me on Facebook over the years know I speak a lot, probably more militantly, but I'm speaking to people who have been depressed or are depressed or just going through things. And so when I ran across Harold, who is a Facebook friend of mine, actually, he started telling me about his podcast and I listened to it and I really enjoyed his story um and his perspective as a man, right? Because oftentimes we don't hear um men speaking about their emotions and how you felt and the why you made the decisions you made from an emotional standpoint, and we never hear that, and you talked about that. So all right, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Harold Brown. I prefer to be called by HB,
HB.
New New Orleans. If you can't remember HB, New Orleans. Uh,
Knowledge.
I'm originally from New Orleans. I've been living in Memphis since I think like '07, something like that,
Yeah.
late '07. Uh, I met my wife here. Uh, a lot of people in Memphis might know her. She was the bling queen of Memphis. She blinged out everything, made T-shirts.
Oh,
Her
for
name was
real?
Mahalia Meadows, and she passed like 3 years and a little over 3 months ago. And actually, I just celebrated her birthday a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I
And
saw that on Facebook. You posted her or reposted a couple of pictures for her from
so
her.
yeah, that really tripped my depression. I never knew I had depression or I was depressed and stuff like that until my wife died, and it was a shit show after that.
So, and we're gonna get into that in just a second, right? So, what's the name of your podcast? So, I don't want to say it incorrectly.
My life, my depression.
My life, my depression. It sounds like a book.
You're not the first person that told me that. My
It sounds like a
therapist tell me
book.
that all the time. I should write a book.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should. Everybody has a story. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Everybody has a story. And one of the main reasons I got into doing hosting and podcasting is because I hear so many stories throughout my life, throughout the years, every day. You know what I mean? I'm on the ground with people and I hear so many different stories, right? And even though from the outside looking in, we look at some people's situation, right? And we think that it's not great because all we see is what they don't have. You know what I
the
mean?
outside of it.
The outside, but it's the inside that truly matters. It's the inside that truly matters, and everybody got a story inside there somewhere. And I love hearing about it, and I love talking about it and talking to people about it. Okay, so let's get back on topic here. You said that your wife's passing is what triggered your depression,
Yeah.
and that was a year and 3 months ago. Did I get it right?
Nah,
3 years.
3 years and
3 years.
a little
Sorry,
over 3 months. No.
3 years,
May
3 months.
20th, May 14th, 2020.
Yeah. So, where do you want to start? The beginning of the
Ask me
end.
anything. Don't be coy. Don't be coy with me. Believe you me. My thoughts already have fucked me up. So you cannot ask me a tough question.
Okay. So you said your wife's passing triggered your depression. That's when you really went into a deep depression. What was that moment like when you found out or did you realize that you were depressed?
When I was staring down the barrel of my 45.
Ooh, wow. Wow. And that was right in time.
Yeah, that was the time I knew. That was the time that triggered me. and I could understand how people killed themselves, man.
You say you
I can, I
couldn't?
can, I could at that moment.
Yeah,
I could understand how a person can kill themselves. I can empathize with that person that has taken their own life
right.
because I was not just one, maybe many times of waking up in the morning and not want to face the day, not want to go through. I mean, I told people when my wife died, it felt like I had a death sentence. You
Yeah,
know, I couldn't see her until I was dead, so I was going to shorten that. I was uh
yeah,
I was suicidal and I was homicidal because I already told myself after my wife died, somebody gonna feel this pain. So the next person that pisses me off
gonna
is
get
gonna
it.
get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and honestly, I've always been an advocate for suicide prevention. Right, I've always been an advocate for suicide prevention, but maybe about last year, I think I had gotten to a really, really low point. I don't know if it was last year or earlier this year, but I think it was last year. I had gotten to a really, really low point, and I started entertaining the thought of suicide. Right, and so I know exactly what you mean when you say at that moment. That's when I realized, yeah, it
I
hit
mean,
different.
I had given up. I thought depression wanted my life. I thought depression wanted me to give up, not do nothing, be a miserable person for the rest of my life. I thought depression wanted my life.
Yeah,
No, it basically wanted me to die because I had given up. I would only work enough to pay bills. I would only work enough to, to pay bills, get the stuff I needed, weed, alcohol. I
right.
would drink a fifth of vodka a day.
Something just to make it.
Uh, yeah.
Hmm.
And I'm not telling no lie. For probably 3 months straight, I drank a fifth of vodka every day when I
Yeah.
got off from work. I I probably stumbled to the bed every
Excuse
night
me.
drunk and just to wake up to do it all over again.
Yeah. But can I tell you something?
Yeah.
For me, in my eyes, right? I feel like after you've gone something very traumatic like that, you're entitled to just be a mess for a minute. Like you're entitled to that time to just be a mess and just be all over the place. You know? But
But life doesn't give you that time.
sometimes you have to take that time, in my opinion. I
Yeah,
feel
but
like you do.
I had two kids.
Yeah.
I had two kids and they had just lost their mother. I mean, I know what they was going through because I lost my mother pretty young. I
Yeah.
lost my mother when I was 26. Maybe, I mean, it was a little younger than I was, but
Hmm.
I already had set them on a track that one day they was gonna wake up. And I taught my kids this. One day you're gonna wake up and me or your mom is not gonna be here no more. So, I mean, I would like to think I had them ready for that day because I had gone through it so young and I know how it shook my world
Right.
and stuff like that. So I hope I was in their ear enough to let them know that like the world don't give a shit what you go through what you went through yesterday.
Yeah.
The sun gonna come up and the world gonna keep fucking rolling on whether you roll with it or not.
That's true. That is true. How were your kids on that day? You said that you think
Oh,
you
it was.
prepared them for that. How do you think they
I
felt?
mean, nobody can prepare you for when your mother's dead. You know, when your mother's died.
Yeah.
So I mean, they were a mess.
Yeah.
They were a mess. I really don't want to go into it, that much, but just
Hmm.
I mean, if anybody listening has lost a mother that loved their mother and that was a fucking mother, I mean, my children didn't know a single parent household. I mean, they all my stepkids. I mean, I came into their life very early. I raised them. I mean, I stuck my chest out when I told people both my fucking kids are in college. I got two
Right.
black kids in college that lives in a fucking double parent home.
And they were yours.
You know,
You took care of them.
so
They were yours.
I mean, yeah, they mine. But it was hard on them. It was hard on them for a while. I know they would. I know they would go into themselves, be mad at everybody. I know that you're gonna be mad at the world. So I just gave them space, and I was there when they called.
It's sometimes that's all you can. That's all you need to do. Just be
Yeah.
there. Well, not just be there, but be present, be active. Be reassuring as a dad, and sometimes it's just what you need to get your babies through. You know what I mean? Um, Hold on one second. Sorry, I had to cough. Okay. How long are you in therapy? And if so,
Oh
how
yeah.
long you been in there?
I've been in therapy almost 2 years now.
Okay. Now you told me that you correlate the things that you learn in therapy with your topics of your podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Now how did that come about?
I mean, when you go through therapy, and I'm speaking to the people out there that's gonna be listening to this, if you never went through therapy, you have to tell the truth. You can't bullshit yourself because that's therapy. Therapy is not that person that's sitting on the other side. I mean, I do my therapy by Zoom because my therapist is like way in fucking Southern California somewhere, and I do it by Zoom. But you can't lie because you're not gonna get the honest opinion,
Yeah.
you know, about the things you want to do. And I tell people, yeah, I have a therapist, but I do most of the work myself because you only have the therapist for 1 hour for
Right.
1 week.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff he gonna give you tools, but you're gonna need to learn how to work with them and
Right.
apply them to your everyday life.
Right.
So it was just barriers in my life. I mean, my depression was there since I was 6 years old.
And you can
My
remember that far
trauma,
back.
my trauma. I'm not gonna say my depression. My trauma was there when I was 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the events. I had a couple traumatic events where I stood there and my body wouldn't let me move, talk, walk. I mean, anything. I was stuck in that moment for what I had seen.
Right.
And uh, fast forward to my wife because I had been married once before when I was young, and that was a real bad marriage. It only lasted a year. But fast forward on to my wife, and she was the first woman to love me unconditionally. Not even my mother loved me like a woman should love not a man, but a person that they love,
Okay. Why do you say that?
And
What was your
my mother
relationship like with
was
her?
with who?
What was your relationship like with your mother? Why do you say that?
I mean, my mother was born in 1952
Mm-hmm.
in New Roads, Louisiana. Okay, most people don't even know what the fuck that is.
I don't.
I mean, my mother came up. I mean, you got to see. If we talking 1952, I mean, my mother would lived in a fucking times where you didn't have civil rights.
Mm-hmm.
My father was born in 1945. He had just missed the Great Depression.
Yeah, but then he kicked
These
in with
were,
this.
yeah, these were the people that brought me into this world.
Yeah.
You know, they were only doing to me what they knew from their parents or what they learned. I was one fucking generation out of that.
Yeah.
I was born in the late '70s. You know,
Yeah.
So, I mean, my mother had a hard life. My mother was raped and I tell it in my podcast, so people don't gas when I say this and shit like this. I tell it in my podcast. My mother was raped by her uncle, my great uncle,
Mm.
and from that rape came my oldest brother,
Mm.
and
That's
she had to
tough.
keep the child because my grandparents were devout Catholics. They didn't believe in abortion,
Ooh.
and my mother had to keep the secret, and she had never told her parents, and she told my brother because at one time she thought she was dying, and she came out and just told him who his father was because he had never known, and she never told him.
Yeah.
So I could imagine how that could take effect on a woman and having children. I mean, that was one child, then she had three more, and that was the last one.
Mm-hmm. The baby.
So just think I was the youngest, not the baby. So just think about a woman being raped with her first child.
Right.
and then dealing with a couple of more assholes that had three more fucking children.
Yeah.
And when she had these children later on and living on her own, uh, I remember times when my mama used to tell us that, I mean, be mad with us, you look just like your fucking daddy. I mean, I didn't know why she was doing it then. It hurt my feelings. But now, as a man that go through therapy, I know she was dealing with something that she didn't understand. She was hurt. She needed help herself,
Right. Right.
and I understand that now. It did shit for me then.
Yeah.
I had to, I had to incur a lot of fucking ass whoopings, and I tell the kids out here today, I'm like, y'all don't know what ass whoopings is. 'Cause if you got an ass whooping with a belt or a switch or something like that, you're fucking lucky. My mom would take a broomstick and
Oh
swing on your
shoot.
fucking ass like she was batting for the motherfucking Yankees.
She was one of those moms. She didn't play.
Oh, she
She'll pick up
she she did.
anything and hit you with it.
My mom motto was, when you piss me off, whatever I got in my hand, you gonna get it.
Right. Yeah. But and you think that some of her trauma trickled down on you? I hear a lot
Oh, most
about
of it did. Most of it did.
you think so? Yeah. I hear a lot of people saying that trauma passes through DNA. I'm not really sure how deep that goes, but I do know that it does pass on in some type of way
I
or
don't
form
think it
fashion.
passed through the DNA. She didn't, and I'm gonna back up for a minute. Maybe my mom didn't know how to be a woman. Maybe my mom didn't know what a man looked like. Didn't know what a man was. And I say that because I have I have the aspect of being in a family and now looking into my past and
Right.
looking at things and seeing stuff,
Yeah.
right? I
I've done it as
mean,
well.
a couple things have happened in my family. I'm not going to speak on it because I haven't spoke on it in my podcast yet. That I knew somebody had to know something was going fucking on because the
Okay.
things I saw happen even when I was like, even after my mom, as a child, saw things
Yeah.
going on. Somebody had to know something. So if somebody had to know something, like what the fuck? It was just what they did back then,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. The protocol was different for dealing with family situations. It was very different. Nowadays, everything's out in the open.
Is it?
Seemingly so. It is and it ain't, depending on what it is or who it is. I don't
Hmm.
know. That's my synopsis of that. I don't know. But so your older brother was a child of rape. And that's something that your older brother has had to deal with. And you
Rape
also
and
said
incest. Rape
incest,
and
right?
incest.
Right. And you also said, did you tell me that you were bullied?
Oh shit! I was bullied first in my own house.
Right, by your other
My
siblings?
mom saw. I mean, shit. Fuck my siblings. My mom started it. My mom would bully. My mom would bully me. I mean, I
Mm,
grew up. I grew up. I was young, and I tell it in my podcast. I was very young, and I was very fucking smart. Like when I
yeah.
was like 6, 7 years old, I used to tell people it was like really like I want to be a scientist.
Yeah.
Like I used to talk to motherfuckers about rockets at 6, 7, 8 years old.
Well, you always had those friends.
I mean, like really in depth, like wanting to know. Like I'd be like, I want to know. Like I don't understand this, so I want to know. And
Right. Yeah.
but I
Very
mean,
inquisitive.
and my mom really snatched that from me, and I'm not blaming her from it, but I just want to make a point how you could deter a child from doing something. I told my mom one day, and she asked me like what do you want to do? What do you want to be when you grow up? And I told her I was like I want to be a scientist. Well, my mama come from a Catholic fucking family. A devout Catholic family. My grandfather, my grandmother was. They believe in God. They didn't believe in fucking science. So what they
Right.
believed in, my mom believed in. So when my mom
Hmm.
believed in, I had to believe in. My mom was like, "You can't be a scientist. Scientists don't believe in God." I'm probably
Mm,
6, 7 years old at the time. I'm gonna
yeah.
believe what my mom say. So now, at 6, 7 years old, I believe all scientists don't believe in God. See how that shit works? Had to
Hmm.
be. I probably was like 12, 13 years old before I really found out the fucking truth. And the crazy thing about it was when I found out how much my mom had lied to me, not because she lied to me willingly, but just because how she was raised, I hated her even more.
But she was raised like that.
Yeah, but I
You
couldn't
gotta cut
see
a
it at
little
the
slack.
time. No, 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 no. I'm only talking to when I was at that age. Say I was 13 years old and I found out my mom lied to me about something. I didn't
Yeah.
know that I had to contribute it to what she had gone through. All I know was my mom fucking lied to me, and
Mm,
I hate her. I can look back. 2020 vision is great right now. I could tell
right.
you how I could have went back and fixed all of it probably. But like I tell people, I speak on my feelings I had at the time.
Hmm.
In that moment, in
Right.
those moments.
Right. I don't know. What do you think depression is? If you had to define depression, what would you say it is?
I look at depression is your own erratic thoughts that you got to get a handle on. Because we
Hmm.
all depressed. Every fucking body in this world depressed by something.
About something, yes, but not depressed overall. Some people are
No,
genuinely
not
happy,
yeah,
I think.
not everybody. I mean, happiness is an emotion.
It is. And depression is driven by emotions.
Yeah,
It feeds off of emotion.
and traumatic events.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what
I,
triggers
I, I
depression. Something traumatic.
and the one place you can't run from is inside your head.
Right.
So if it's fucked up in there, like you can hide it. Like I hid it and with my wife.
And
I hid it
most
real
people
good.
do.
She was real good at holding that shit at bay.
Yeah.
You know, she was real good at holding that shit down. And when she died, it all blew up. I didn't have a chance to go sit down with a therapist and was like, "Oh, I want to deal with this today. I want to deal with this." No, all those old fucking memories that she was able to suppress, all of them came back. All of them. I'm
Yeah.
talking about fucking memories when I was myself, when I was molested as a child.
Hmm.
I mean, all of them that you didn't think about in 15, 20 years.
Hmm. Yeah.
Now that's fueling the fire. On top of, oh, yeah, and don't forget, your fucking wife is dead.
Yeah.
I tell people like sometimes I sit in my room and I'm drunk as a motherfucker and I'm crying about something that happened to me 25 fucking years ago and I'm bawling my
Yeah.
eyes out about something that 25 fucking years ago. But then I come through and I think about it and I was like, fuck, no, today. My wife is dead today. You know?
Hmm.
So that's how depression had me. I was all over.
Yeah. I think people are entitled to depression, right? I think that because I feel like we all go through the same things, just in different roles. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like you've experienced your mother dying. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, you have experienced your mother passing. I've experienced my father passing. You know what I mean? My mother's still here, thank God. And so we've gone through a similar thing, just from different roles. Because what my father is to me might not be what your mother is to you. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I do feel like everybody's going to reach a level of depression at some point, and I think everybody's entitled to be depressed. Now, how long you sit in that is on you.
Yeah.
That's the thing that really allowed me to start talking a lot about um, just random philosophies that I put on my Facebook, right? And that's what really triggered it for me was I've been depressed before, right? So I know what it feels like. You know what I mean? And I just started kind of talking about it, but speaking in different philosophy, things I was learning every day, just different points of view. Because when you, like you said, when you're in depression, you get to see things that you haven't, or relive things that you haven't thought about in a long time. But you see them from a different point of view. You see them from now, today, and you're on the outside looking into this situation. So you learn something differently. You feel something differently about it. Um, how are your children now? Are they
They good.
okay?
Yeah. My son graduated college. My daughter's having her second child in about another 3 months.
You're a
They
granddaddy.
they good. They good. They good as can be losing their mother not even 4 years ago. I say that. They got an uphill battle because I know what I went through.
Yeah. Have you ever
Uh,
talked to them about what they went through during that period?
yeah, yeah.
Do you think, who do you think took it the hardest? You
I'd
or the
rather not
kids?
talk about my kids. I don't talk about my kids on the podcast.
Okay.
That was always something as a family.
Mm-hmm.
If we had something to talk about or talked about, we talked about it with each other.
So you're very
So my kids,
open. That's good.
so my kids would always know they can always come and talk to me about something, no matter what it is. And I tell my kids, like, I don't give a fuck what it is. You murdered 20 people? Okay, you did it. I'm gonna tell you now.
Whoa.
Nigga, you're going to jail. You're going to jail. Okay? I'm
Oh
not
my
gonna sugarcoat
God.
it. I don't have enough fucking money to a lawyer to get you off or
Right.
nothing like that. I can't help you run. So you're gonna go to jail, but I promise you this. I'm gonna always be there, motherfucker. No, I'm gonna tell you did wrong. Yeah, and you shouldn't have
Yeah.
killed them 20 fucking people. But you still my fucking son and my daughter.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna run. I told them when I came into their life. And my daughter, like one thing I can say, and I've shared this before, I think on one of my podcasts, my daughter, when I came into her life, she was like, everybody keep leaving me. I just
Mm.
want somebody to stay. So I was just like, I'm never gonna go anywhere. I'm gonna always be here.
That's beautiful.
And and like I tell people, like me and my wife were together like 13, 14 fucking years, and it wasn't like it was all fucking peaches and cream. Like we had a nice house and I had a nice man cave. I mean, I remember like 3 fucking months where I slept in my man cave, straight up.
Mm.
My children was off to college. It was just me and my wife. She slept in the room. She had the bathroom in the room. I had the bathroom in the hallway, and we passed by each other. I would walk by in the morning. I'd tell her, go ahead and pay the rent. She'll go in my account, pay the fucking rent, pay the light bill. And she'll cook, leave the food on the stove. I eat. We'll talk just how much we needed to talk and no more than that. And we were married, and there was times
Mm-hmm.
where we couldn't keep our hands off each other. We was always on vacation,
Mm-hmm.
so it wasn't perfect, but fuck, I wouldn't, I mean, shit, I give the and I tell people I was like be real careful because I really told the line with my wife. Like I really
Mm-hmm.
told the line.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna lie. I'm open with this shit. Like I curse God about my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like
That's how you know
I
you
was
really like a woman or that you really in
I
love
was
with a
like
woman. A man gonna cut a shine about her. You hear me?
I was like,
Baby.
bruh.
Period.
With my mother, I understood it because that's the natural order. But when he
Mm-hmm.
took my wife,
Yeah.
it man, I tell people now, it was my wife had died in May, and it was like 4th of July weekend or something like that. I went and saw my sister in Houston, and my
Yeah.
brother and them came, and my family was all there, and I was still shook up. I was going through my moments, and when everybody was about to leave, everybody got in a big circle and was like, "We're gonna go ahead and say a prayer before we go," and everybody went to hold my hand, and I shook back. And everybody looked at me and was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "Man, look, I ain't talked to God since my wife died, and I ain't
Yeah.
talking to him now." And walked clean out the room. And it wasn't no show. It was dead serious, heart to heart. It was just who I was lost. I was lost. I roamed this earth
Yeah.
aimless.
Yeah.
I had at that time I felt like I feared no God, I feared no devil. Whatever happened to me, it was good. Fuck it. I'm going to see my wife. Let it happen. The only
Hmm.
thing I tell people why I didn't commit suicide because I was too fucking coward. I was too much of a coward to kill myself.
Why do you feel like you was a coward?
I couldn't pull the trigger.
But why
I
would you
couldn't
want
kill
to?
myself. At that time, when your brain attacks you like that, those same thoughts you just asked me, those same questions you just asked me, like, why would I want to? Never get through. All you want at that time is the voices to stop.
You you felt voices. You felt like people or voices was talking to you.
No, no. Your own voices inside your head, those little voices that tell you shit, when
Yeah.
you're going through Great Depression and you're about to kill yourself, they attack you.
So how do you deal with the voices?
I learned to spot depression.
Right.
I
Right.
learned to spot depression. I actually saw
Hmm.
depression one time, and my therapist helped me do it. I actually saw depression one time, and it was real fucking crazy because I was going out to this party one night,
Hmm.
and it was like in the midst of me having depression. I was just like, "Fuck it, somebody, invited me to a party. I'm gonna go. I'm
Let's
gonna wear
go.
little
You
this and
hear me?
this." Like,
We in that joint.
yeah. And went to the party, had a fucking fabulous time. Got home, took some pictures on my phone, had some people take some pictures for me. And when I got home, I looked at the pictures and I was like baffled. I was like, wow, really? I was like, I noticed me
Hmm.
because that's my clothes I had on,
Right.
but I don't recognize the motherfucker that's in the clothes. I didn't
Mm,
recognize myself
yeah.
on a picture. That's how long it had been since I saw myself. My image of myself inside of my head didn't match reality.
You know what's so crazy is that I have been through that as well, right?
That's the definition of seeing depression.
Oh my God. I went through the
That's
same
the
thing.
definition of seeing fucking depression.
It
If you
is.
ever had that, you saw depression. Yes,
Yeah.
your image of yourself is different of what reality really is.
Right. You ever looked in a mirror and just been like, who is this person? Have
Oh
you ever
no.
had that moment?
Like when my wife died, I was like, I couldn't even look in the mirror. I was a mind. Like if I showed you some pictures
Yeah.
of me,
Yeah.
like you would be like, damn, like man, you were really like people look at that picture and was like look staring into my eyes in that picture was like you were really lost, huh?
Yeah.
And I tell them, yeah, it wasn't
Yeah.
no I wanted to do this or I
Hmm.
wanted to do that and I wanted to come out this way. I was lost. I was in
Yeah.
total.
I have been like when I tell you, okay, so I remember when I first started doing like hosting and trying to get like I was a podcast before podcast was even podcast. You hear me? I started this back in the day, but I remember I was trying to start this probably about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, something like that. And I started taking pictures around that time too. Just to be taking pictures. I had
I remember
decided,
that. I remember that.
yeah,
Because I remember you took one, and I won't cut you off. I think you took one of like a sun and some trees or something like that, if my memory serves me right.
it was yeah, and I had like purple hair.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that. It was a while ago. I remember that.
and it's like you know why I started taking pictures because I realized that I had lost myself, right? Um, and I don't really want to speak on too much about what was going on at the time, but I was living in Chattanooga, and I was just looking at my situation like this ain't me. This ain't me. You know what I mean? This is not me. So I got a friend, he wanted to build his portfolio. I started taking pictures and I'm looking at myself like this person looks nice on this picture, but I don't identify with this person. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
I just couldn't identify with what I was looking at. And it's so weird because I have never been able to identify with any of my pictures to this day. to this day.
You still depressed?
I wouldn't say that I am, more as I'm triggered. I'm triggered,
Okay. I'm
but
gonna
I'm
ask you
not
one
depressed. Nah.
question. I'm gonna ask you one question, and I can
What?
find out if you depressed or not.
Okay.
Do you go through your pain or around your pain?
Ooh, ooh, ooh,
If the
ooh.
answer didn't come out of your mouth in 1 second and say you go through your pain, you are depressed because all you're doing is leaving it on the back burner.
It depends on what it is.
No matter what it is.
It depends on what it is. Like me, I'ma handle it. I'ma fix the problem. I'ma fix the problem.
I'm talking about that pain. That shit is in the back of our mind that we
You
don't even like to look at.
you
That shit that
know
nobody else, the shit that nobody else can look at, and we don't even like to peep at that shit.
you know
That type of
how I deal with it. You know how I deal with it, right? I do this thing. I call it the emotional poop, right? And I do this every day, every other day, just depending on when I feel it, and I don't feel it as much as I used to. But I am triggered sometimes by certain people. And that's another thing I want to talk about is people purposely triggering you. But we'll talk about that in a second. But I do this thing, it's called an emotional poop, right? So I allow myself this opportunity to get mad, to say what I want to say, to vent about whatever it is that I'm gonna vent about, to just speak my insecurities, just get it out. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't like to carry this stuff inside of me all day. I don't want to worry about it. I don't want to think about it. Right. So I do an emotional poop and I get it out every day. Once I get it out, I'm okay.